Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is your well-rounded math teacher, Mr. Bakar, and we are going to go over the Unit 4 review for this quiz, this first quiz that we're going to take. And you can take it as soon as you're done watching this video. Make sure you download this review sheet so you have it, and you can use this on the quiz. And if you have any other questions, you can message me, and we could maybe meet or something like that, and I can help you out with a problem or two, as long as it's hopefully before Friday. Anyway, write equation for each line below in slope-intercept form. So I'm just going to plug this into slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, where m, remember, is my slope, and b is your y-intercept. Okay, so a couple things to remember there. So my y-intercept is actually right there where it crosses the y-axis, and that's equal to 2. So b in this case is 2. So that's the first thing we've got to find. And then we're going to kick in the slope. So I'm going to find a couple places where it crosses the grid real nice. And I'll use this y-intercept. And it looks like it crosses pretty nicely right there. So I'm going to create a right triangle to find slope, which is rise over run. Okay? So if I'm starting at this point right here, I'm going down 1, 2, 3 spots. So that's -3. That's my rise. It's actually a drop. And then my run, going in this direction, because you're going around that right angle right there, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's +4. So rise over run, my slope would be -3 over 4. And that's a negative slope, and it should be a negative slope because as you're going to the right, I'm going down. So plugging everything in, the slope goes before your x value, so it's y equals -3/4 x. In this case, your y-intercept's positive, so it is +2. If I had a negative y-intercept, like right here, that's -3, it'd be -3. So just keep that in mind. If it's positive, it's plus the b. If it's negative, it's like adding a negative or minus the b, okay? So just keeping that in mind. This one, it's going up as it goes to right, so my slope should be positive, just so you know that. If we continue this line down, and this line down, it looks like it's -5, 6. I'll say that's -7. So my b, or y-intercept, is -7 in this case. And if it's off the chart like this and you're close, I'll give it to you, so don't worry about that too much. As for the slope, I gotta find a good, well, it crosses nicely right here, and it looks like right here. So I'm gonna make a right triangle going up that many units and to the right that many units. And that's gonna be my rise over run. So my slope, once again, which is rise over run, I'm going up in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be a +5. And I'm going to the right, that's a positive movement. If it's going to the left, it'd be negative. 1, 2. So rise is 5 over run is 2. So my slope is 5/2. And my y-intercept is -7. So where do they go? Remember, the slope always goes in front of the x. Plus your y-intercept. And in this case, my y-intercept's negative. So when I do this, its y is going to be slope in front of x, 5/2 x. A lot of people put +7 here, but this is a -7. So you could say plus a -7, and that would be fine. But usually we write that as 5/2 x minus 7. There we go. Okay? Okay, graph each linear equation. This one's in slope-intercept form right away. My slope is -2, so that's -2 over 1. But first, you have to graph your y-intercept. B equals 9 here. So, oh, this one's off the charts again. So, what do we got? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, it'd be right about here. And the slope is -2. So, from that point, I'm going to go down 1, 2 over 1. Down 1, 2 over 1. You can throw a few of them in there. And just graph your line in there then. You guys are better at writing straight lines than me. I know there's a way to draw a straight line there, but that's as good as I can get. And if you had that, I'd take it. I can see your y-intercept. I can see your slope is going down 2 over 1. A few people struggled with this. They don't give us the y-intercept here. They give us the slope, m equals 1/2. And it passes through this point, -5, 3. So you don't graph your y-intercept here first. You graph that point. Now, that point, -5, 3, this is my x and this is my y for the point. So I start at the origin and go back a -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go up 1, 2, 3. That's the point that they're talking about right there. And then you kick in your slope. I'll put that in red. So from that point, I go up 1 over 1, 2. There's a point. Up 1 over 1, 2. Or you could go down 1, the opposite, and back 2. So we're not graphing a y-intercept here. We're just graphing the point that they give us. Okay? And that's our line. Now notice it's going up as it goes to the right, and my slope is positive, so that makes sense. For these next two, it says write the equation of each line below. You can write it in slope-intercept form or point-slope form. So I'll do each, so you kind of see how they work, and then you kind of choose whichever one you want. So the first one, we could put it in slope-intercept form right away, or you could also put it in point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Okay? If you plug it, basically we got to find b in both cases. We already have the slope. We have a point. I'm just going to plug this in for x and y, and I'm going to plug the slope in for m and then solve for b. So y is equal to 1 right here. This is my y right here, equals, m is my slope, so just plugging in the slope, which is 4, and my x is 2 right there. And then we don't have b, we're trying to find b, so we can write this in the equation. Well, simplifying this is 1 equals 8 plus b, and then just subtracting 8 from both sides to get b by itself. I get b equals -7. So I have the slope, and I have my y-intercept, so I can write my line. So here's my line. Y equals slope before x, 4x. Now it's plus a -7, so I'm just going to say -7. And there's my linear equation. Okay? So we're going to use the slope again for this problem, but we're going to use point slope form here. M equals 4, we know that. And this point now, this 2, 1, is kind of like x sub 1 and y sub 1. You're plugging it in for x sub 1 and y sub 1. We're not plugging anything in for y or the x. They're just going to be there. They're part of the equation. It's kind of like, it'll look like this when we're all done. So when I'm plugging something in, I'm just plugging that y sub 1 in for y sub 1. So it's y minus 1 equals, this is my slope, so I'm going to plug 4 in for the slope, and x minus, here's my x sub 1 now, when we're doing point slope form, 2. So to solve this, well, first we got to simplify and solve. So I'm going to, I don't want this, there we go. I'm going to multiply by 4, distribute it through the quantity. Some people forget it's 4 times x, that's 4x, but you also have to multiply it by that -2. And 4 times -2 is -8. So we got y minus 1 over here equals 4x minus 8. Now, once we put it in point slope form like we did and get rid of the parentheses, we want to solve for y, so we're going to add 1 to both sides. And when these cancel out, and I get y equals 4x. Negative 8 and 1 is negative 7. So I still get the same answer. You guys have to decide if you want to use slope-intercept form or point slope form when you're writing your linear equations. I won't do it both of them every time, but I'll kind of bounce back and forth. So for this one, it passes through the point negative 6, 4, and 3, negative 2. They don't give us a slope. So the first thing we got to do is we have to find slope. Now that's change in y over change in x. It's the same thing as y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So I'll say this is x sub 1, y sub 1, and this is x sub 2, y sub 2. So just kind of plugging things in and getting your answer now. First of all, we subtract the y's. Here's y sub 2, that's negative 2, minus the 4, that's my y sub 1, all over x sub 2, which is 3, minus a negative 6. So being careful with the negatives now. This would be plus a positive. So I'm going to get negative 6 all over positive 9. They're both divisible by 3, so I'm going to divide them by 3. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our slope, m, is negative 2/3. I'm just going to plug this one into slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So we're going to plug in a x point, and we're going to plug in the slope. Now, when you're given 2 points, you can just pick one. I'm just going to pick this one right here. I'm going to plug that in for x and y. My y is negative 2, so I'll put negative 2 here first. Plug in the slope. That's negative 2/3 times x, which is 3, plus b. You can use your calculator, but negative 2/3 times that 3, that's 3 over 1. So that's negative 6 over 3. Divide that, you get negative 2. So this is basically negative 2 equals, when we multiply this over here now, we got negative 2 again, plus b. Finally, adding 2 to both sides so we can solve for b. They both cancel out. That means b is equal to 0. So when I write my linear equation, slope is negative 2/3. My b is 0, so it's y equals negative 2/3 x, slope, plus 0. You could write your answer like this, and that's fine. Or because it's just plus 0, you could just say y equals negative 2/3 x. It's the same thing. Okay? Okay. Number 7 here passes through the point 4, 4 and is parallel to this line. Okay, parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so this line, I need the slope of this line because that line is going to be a slope as the same as the line that we're going to write here in a little bit. So we have to put this in slope-intercept form. We have to solve for y. So this is negative y right now, so I'm going to subtract 3x. That'll cancel these out and subtract 3x here. So don't forget that it's negative y. Now the key is these two terms are not the same. They're not like terms. One's a number and one's negative 3x, so I can't add them together to get one term. It's just going to be negative 3x plus 2. Now it's not in slope-intercept form yet because I have to get rid of that negative, so I'm going to divide both sides, which is basically each and every term by negative 1. That's how I do it anyway. So y equals negative divided by negative is a positive 3x. 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Now, here's the deal. A lot of people say, oh, my slope is 3, so m equals 3. I don't need this. I'm going to write my own linear equation using this point, 4, 4. So we got the 0.44 and we got slope equals 3. Now we can write an equation. I'll do it in slope-intercept form for this one. I'll do point slope for the next one then maybe. You could use point slope form for this too if you're more comfortable with that. Anyway, plugging 4. Wait a minute now, hold on a second. Yeah, I did slope-intercept form for that one. I'm going to do point slope form for this one. If I did slope-intercept form for this one, I'd just plug in 4 for y and 4 for x and 3 for my m, solve for b, and I could write my linear equation. But just to give you guys, oh, it's not going to let me get rid of that. Okay, we'll just do it in slope-intercept form then, that's fine. So both these are 4, so y is 4, equaling 3 for the m, that's my slope, times your x is 4 also here, plus b. So this is 4 equals 12 plus b. Well, to solve for b, we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. b equals -8. So my linear equation then, here's the slope. So I'll say y equals 3x. Always put your slope in front of your x term. This is -8, so it'd be plus a -8 or just -8. There's my linear equation. And we're moving on to the last one here. Okay. So it passes through the point 1, -3, and is perpendicular. Here's a symbol for perpendicular to y equals -4x. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite. That means if one's positive, the other one's negative. The reciprocal of each other. Okay, so if one slope was we'll say 2/3, -2/3, a line perpendicular to it would have a slope of, well, this one's going to be positive if this one's negative, and then flip it. Instead of 2/3, it'd be 3/2. So positive 3/2. So the slope of this line is -1/4. So a line perpendicular to it, our line, which is perpendicular to it, would have a slope of, flipping that, 1/4, and it's going to be positive. So this is the slope we're going to work with for a line that goes through 1, -3. And for this one, I'll use point. You could use slope-intercept, but I'm going to put this in point slope form. So I'm going to say y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And then just plug everything in. Now we're not plugging anything in for the x and y, just x sub 1. This point would become x sub 1, y sub 1. Okay? So this is going to be y minus -3. Not -3, but minus a -3. Equals m, well, that's my slope, 1/4 times x minus, well, my x sub 1 is right there, 1. Remember, you're not plugging anything in for x and y here, just x sub 1 and y sub 1. This is plus a positive, so cleaning this up now, getting rid of the parentheses, it's going to be y plus 3 minus negative is plus a positive. Distribute the 1/4 through there. Well, 1/4 times x is just 1/4 x. And 1/4 times -1 is -1/4. I'll leave my slope as a fraction, but you can, because we're going to add 1/4 to both sides, that's the same as if you divide it, 0.25. So we're going to add 0.25 plus 0.0, to both sides. These will cancel out, and I'll get y, oh shoot, I screwed that up. got ahead of myself a little bit here. This is 0.25, like we said, 1 divided by 4. I want to get rid of the 3, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Sorry about that. Y equals 1/4 x. Negative 0.25 and a negative 3 is negative 3.25. And there's my equation. And that's it. You guys can start working on the back now. Not on the back. You got to download the quiz now and start working on that. When you're done with it, make sure you submit it in the quiz spot. You don't have to submit the review. I just wanted you to work on the review so you could have it for the quiz. If you are struggling with this or have any questions, shoot me a message and we could maybe I'll help you with a problem or two in a Google Meet or something like that. So just keep that in mind. And good luck. And that's it. Bye.